Welcome back to part 2 of the effective singing video. You'll notice that a fair degree of the music is set at the lower end of the register. Page Roman numerals 8 of the score introduction shows the bass range required in all movements, but in movement 8 we can see that it is raised a semitone from F sharp up to B flat 3. That being quite low, reasonably high in the register. So that's going to be pretty comfortable for bass 2s, but maybe a little bit tricky for the bass 1s at the lower end. So let's think about singing in the lower register. First of all, when doing so, do not try too hard. Be relaxed so that you remove any tension. Drop the shoulders as you do in singing anyway. Relax your vocal cords. Think about making them wider. Think about the lower pitched organ pipes with their diameter. That's what you're trying to create. And use your muscle memory, like you do in sport, to give resonance and keep the energy coming up from the diaphragm. Yawning is pleasant and helpful as it opens the throat and drops the larynx. Be aware of this Adam's apple, the epiglottis, sagging when descending in pitch. Think to keep it up. Note that when swallowing, the Adam's apple goes up. This is the feeling we want when descending in pitch. Try these motor techniques now, building on your muscle memory. Let's have a go at producing that sound. Now at the lower end, if we sing to fee, that will give us the best opportunity of vibrating those vocal cords at their lowest frequencies. Think of the air coming up from the bottom of the lungs and all the way out of your forehead. And as you descend in pitch, go up on your toes. Now to warm our voices up, as we did in the previous video, we'll want to sing 3 tones in sequence. You'll remember how we did that. So we might start mid-reg. La, 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 la. And you'll see the last time I did that, I remembered to keep the larynx up to try and just reach what is obviously at the bottom of my range. So you could go back and have another look at the octave leaps that we did at the beginning of the work. From here, all the way down to here. Remember the technique in the lift? Ni, si, ni, si. So get that posture right, drop your shoulders, etc. All that I said. So that's about the lower end of the range. Good luck with that. It's very important. Now let's have a look at the role of the basses in this movement 8. And it's to do with tempo and it's to do with pitch. So we've got to strictly adhere to the beat and the pitch, but we must lock on to the other parts when they are singing the same rhythm by listening and looking. The beat is directed, of course, by the MD, but it's the basses that hold the other parts together, both in terms of tempo and pitch. So this will require more watching and listening rather than individual counting. Rely on a little bit of your memory, both to remember the notes and the words, and your muscle memory to produce the right sound. So the bass's role is to keep the rhythm rock solid, with the beat providing the structural platform for the other vocal parts. So we must come at the right time, we must sustain notes for the right length, and we must not be put off by other parts, including between the two bass parts. Beware of vibrato on sustained notes. So if we have a long note here, I'm not concentrating deliberately, so I'm not holding the pitch. Vibrato has crept in, meaning that the frequencies are shifting and the pitch is not the same. Now let's do it properly. So that was done by controlling in the tummy, and of course raising the eyebrows, thinking upwards to hold that pitch. So beware of vibrato, not required in Renaissance music. And do that by active controlled muscle engagement of the vocal cords and the diaphragm. Being aware of the bass instrumental support will be useful. So listen to the Gardner recording again and note the instrumentation and the role of the basses. Listen out for that bass trombone or sackbut or the double string bass. Let's have a look finally then at the implementation of the role. You'll notice the mild distraction of the cantus firmus role being sung by the two tenor soloists. This is rather important. It should be a famous tune, familiar to all the listeners, yet reimagined in slow motion. Be aware of this part, but note it should be in the background with the choral writing that we're all singing in the foreground. So the two choirs and the bass parts within each are antiphonal. The second choir would typically provide the echo. The imitative counterpoint composition should be handed over cleanly by listening and matching. You've heard that phrase before. Let's look at bars 39 to 52 for bass 1, repeated by bass 2s at 51 to 66. We're going to sing this to ya to secure the tempo. Let's just find that area quickly, and it's like this. Apologies. So, nisi dominus custodierit civitatem civitatem. So if we're going to do, that's the sort of pace that we want. Now let's do it to ya, so that we're concentrating, we're beating the tempo. Nisi dominus custodierat civitatem civitatem. Frosta vigilat, qui custodit eam. And those last two bars, the second basses come in exactly the same pitch, but singing the word nisi and then repeating the phrase. That handover must be clean, that takeover by the bass twos must be clean. So rehearse that, making sure that you've got the confidence of the words and keeping that vertical oval shape with the mouth, which will help you enunciate the tempo. Also in this piece, we've got the lovely Gloria, and we've talked about that in the previous video. That should be memorised. And if you've done your homework, you'd have started to learn the first two pages too. Now, different people approach memorisation differently. In addition to the video before, you might like to think about working on small separate elements and build for these longer memorisations. And consider doing the end of the phrase first and developing from the back. If we go forwards, the end seems a long way away and our brain gets distracted. Think of the shape of the music and notice the nature of the patterns. Say the words to tempo to get those consonants out early. Be the first. Read the words and listen to recording before going to sleep. You will sleep. You've heard several hints about practicing movement 8. Good luck with your rehearsals, and I'm sure you will be singing more effectively sooner than usual. Do find time to practice all the points, but run through the whole recording to see how much of the desired interpretation you have adopted. Thank you.